Okay. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Park and Recreation Commission on November 17th, 2022. It is 6:00 p.m. Nice. Very on time tonight. Becky, could you please do a roll call vote of the commissioners?
All right, sure, thank you. Commissioner Cabrales, she is going to be absent this evening. Chair Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Here.
Commissioner Machado
Here.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Here.
All right, thank you.
Do we have anyone from the public? It looks like, oh, we see a Ralph, an esteemed member of the public here and fellow commissioner. Do you want to explain how the public can participate in the evening's agenda?
Yes,
Or are people more like speakers?
yeah, I will. And we do have a couple of people as attendees logged in right now as well.
Okay, great.
So good evening, everyone. Viewers are welcome to provide public comment online through Zoom or by telephone. If you are watching this meeting through Zoom, please select the participants button and select raise hand if you wish to speak. If you are participating by telephone and wish to speak, please press *9. When it is your turn to speak, you will be notified by the host inviting you to participate. You will need to press *6 to unmute yourself. Once you are unmuted, you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments.
Thanks, Becky. So are there any amendments to this evening's agenda? Okay, I'd like to call the first agenda item, which is the minutes from October 20th, 22nd. Is there any amendments to the minutes? Any corrections? Okay. Any public comments? No, we approve and then we do the public comment. I'm sorry, I have meetings that do it. We have the public comment and then we approve.
Yes.
Okay, you think I know this by now, but any public comment on our minutes?
I do not see any raised hands, Chair.
All right. Could we have a motion to approve the agenda? Or the minutes?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
So I'd like to call for a vote.
All right. Chair Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Machado,
Yep.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
All right, motion approved. Thank you.
All right. Now we have our regular public comment section. So this is the time to comment on things that are not on the agenda. Is there any public that has any comments for this evening's meeting?
I do not see any raised hands, Chair.
Thank you. So move on to agenda item number 3, which is introductions, awards, recognitions, presentations. And I'm not seeing that we have a lot here, but I'll leave it over to staff if there's anything. All right, sounds like we can go on to the matters before the commission. So we'll call number 4, which is the Gold Hill Grade Open Space donation.
All right, thanks very much. So I'm gonna start with a little kind of background and presentation, and then I'll introduce our esteemed guests from the Marin Open Space Trust, who I think at least one of whom is a little familiar to some folks here. But let me, Becky, I'm not seeing the ability to share my screen. That seems odd. Oh, never mind, I found it. That I was just looking in the wrong spot. Okay. So here we go. All right. So we have an exciting, hold on, let me get this in presentation mode. So we've got an exciting item before you. As I think most of you probably read the staff report, but we have been approached recently about a potential donation of open space to the city. Before we kind of get into the specifics of this donation, I did want to provide a little bit of background kind of on the city's policies and approach to open space donations, because we do have some developed policies that kind of help guide us in this decision making. So in 2017, the city did develop an open space acquisition policy, and this was kind of after a donation opportunity on Make and Grade. Prior to that, the city had really taken an approach that we don't accept donations of open space, and we realized that there are some instances in which it makes sense, and we needed a policy to kind of help us determine where and when it did make sense to accept a donation of open space. And we do have a pretty high bar for when we accept open space. You know, a lot of times it comes with additional responsibilities, additional staffing needs that the city just isn't in a place to support. So this is supposed to help us in that decision-making process. So the first thing that the policy does is it establishes a process for how the city deliberates on these opportunities. So first, the staff get together internally. We bring together folks from administrative services, so our finance department, community development, fire, our library and recreation department, police, and public works to kind of review the area and see if there's any concerns and evaluate it based on our open space policy. Staff then bring the proposal to the Park and Recreation Commission with kind of staff's analysis, and you all will make a recommendation to City Council whether to accept or decline the proposed acquisition. And then ultimately it's City Council's authority to decide whether or not to accept the donation. The open space policy also provides some guiding principles that we use in evaluating the donation. So these, I've kind of listed out a few of them. I'll read them off because I'm kind of refer back to them when I'm providing staff's analysis of this. So a property should provide positive added public benefit. It should have adjacency to existing parks and open space. It should have title with no alternative ownership options for preservation, and preferably a fee simple transfer of title. It should have existing access. There should be public support for the proposed acquisition. It should be environmentally stable and clear of significant safety or security issues. It should be free of significant liability issues. And as I was kind of mentioning, it should not present a significant financial impact to city resources for the acquisition, the management, the maintenance, or the security of it. And the property should not require significant improvements or amenities. So those are kind of the guidelines by which we're evaluating any proposed open space donations. So that kind of brings us to the proposed donation that we're discussing tonight, which is the Gold Hill, we're calling it the Gold Hill Grade proposed open space donation. It is a 2.6 acre parcel of open space land that is located above the Dominican neighborhood, completely within our existing Harry Barbier Memorial Park. So it is completely surrounded already by existing city open space. There's public access via a graded fire road that borders the northwest corner of the property. And it's currently designated as in the general plan as a hillside resource residential, which just means that it's designated that it could be developed for residential, but hillside resource means there's some significant challenges in the property to that development. So this here, I've got a couple of maps for you just to get ourselves situated, but this little yellow, I'm not even sure what shape that is the piece of property that we're discussing. All of the light yellow around is existing city open space. So that's Harry Barbier Memorial Park. You can kind of see the gray squiggly line on the northwest corner is the existing fire road. And you can see the kind of Dominican Black Canyon neighborhood to the south and the west of the property, obviously across from some open space. And this is what from a GIS or a, Google Earth view, what the property looks like. It is fully wooded. You can see some of the city property surrounding it. There might be some erosion issues, but the property itself is actually, our public works folks went out there, felt it's quite stable. There is a small user trail there. But otherwise it's kind of just a wooded hillside property. So this is kind of, we kind of in our analysis went point by point looking at the open space policy. And I guess I should mention that there's some language in the general plan 2040 as well, discussing open space and when the city would be interested in acquiring open space. And it largely supports the open space policy. So I didn't call that out specifically, but there is in the neighborhood element for Dominican Black Canyon, some language around the desirability of increasing parks and open space. So it does align with the general plan 2040 as well. So we determined that adding the property to the city's open space portfolio would provide positive public benefit. Many users at this point are unaware that it's not already public land and part of the park. There is a user trail. It's not an officially designated trail, but people do use it and it passes through the property. So there is preserving it as open space would allow for continued recreational use. And it would, of course, ensure the preservation of the natural space and kind of the contiguousness with the rest of the Harry Barbier open space. The city's the most logical owner because we own all of this area around it. There is no alternative ownership options for the preservation, and it would be a fee simple title transfer. There does seem to be a pipeline easement that we found from 1988 in the title report. We're investigating that a little bit further, but we'll kind of try and get more information on that before it goes to council. But there hasn't been anything since 1988, and there's no additional foreseeable title conflicts. And it does look like that might be related to a spring on an adjacent property that is now the city's anyways. So it kind of might all go together, but we're working to confirm that. The property has existing access via graded fire road, which we saw. It was presented to the Dominican Black Canyon Neighborhood Association. This has kind of been a quick process, so we just presented it last week, and they didn't feel they really had enough time to formally make a recommendation without providing it to their members. But in general, folks expressed support at that meeting. And perhaps some of our members from the public, they were invited. They did send an email out to their members inviting them to attend this meeting if they wanted to comment on this. As I mentioned, our Public Works Department has evaluated the property and feels that it's stable and there are no significant safety or security issues. And in fact, our fire department mentioned that there could be additional wildfire mitigation benefits if we ultimately decide to use social trails to increase our fire breaks. It would be good to have access and ownership over that portion of the user trail. There's no significant liability issues, and nor would it present significant financial impact to the city of accepting this, because we already manage all the space around it. So it might actually make things a little easier in some respects. And the property does not require improvements or amenities. So overall, the staff recommend acceptance of this open space donation. And I'm going to turn it over to Ralph Myhan and Don Dickinson from the Marin Open Space Trust to give us a little bit more information. I'm going to stop my screen sharing and just jump in if I missed anything or further information you all would like to. I think Ralph is going to start us off, if I remember correctly. Oh, you're muted, Ralph.
There we go. Okay. Now you can hear me, unfortunately. Okay. I'm Ralph Myhan, a native of Marin County, 48-year resident of San Rafael. I'm a founding director of Marin Open Space Trust, which we affectionately refer to as MOST. And I'm a former commissioner of the Santa Fe Park and Rec Commission for more than 3 decades. And I note that one of the members there is still hanging on and hangover, Commissioner Machado. But he's a good man. Let me say that I'm going to yield my time to Don Dickinson, a fellow board member of Marin Open Space Trust. Don was instrumental in preserving Gold Hill several years ago, and Don was directly instrumental in obtaining the donation of the 2 owners to MOST. That MOST in turn will donate to the city, and MOST will pick up all of the costs for this entire donation. So at this point, let me yield to my fellow director, Don Dickinson.
Thank you, Ralph. Just as introduction, I am a more than 40-year resident of the neighborhood. And as Ralph indicated, I'm a board member of Marin Open Space Trust, as well as wearing a number of other hats in the county. And I'm wearing other hats. I review a lot of staff reports, and I'd like to compliment the city staff on the of their analysis. And I think this is a pretty straightforward proposal, but what I want to do is give you a little background in terms of why we're talking about a 2.6 acre privately owned property in the middle of what is now about 500 acres of city open space. And that story goes back 20 years to when a number of neighbors in Dominican became aware that there was proposed 6-lot subdivision on 27 acres right at the entrance of the Gold Hill Grade Fire Road. And that application was an application for negative design review and a categorical exemption, no environmental review. The neighbors became concerned and looked into it and found out that there, to our surprise, was a total of 30 acres that was still privately owned along the Gold Hill Grade Fire Road. And that consisted of the 27 acres. It was a proposed subdivision, as well as an additional 2.6 acre parcel immediately above where the subdivision was proposed. And we formed a committee. We pointed out to the city that that Gold Hill property was shown as a priority in the city's open space plan. The response from the city at the time was the city had no money, it would be too expensive. The city manager commissioned an appraisal that came in at 1.4 million and said, well, there's no city money and we can't afford to buy it. And the neighbors didn't accept that response. And we approached the city and said, can we negotiate with the property owner to see if we can put together a package so that the city could buy it? And through the negotiations with the property owner and the attorney, we were able to get the 1.4 million down to $550,000 and put together a funding package that included some city open space money from an old bond issue, money from the county open space district, and considerable private fundraising within the community. At that time, and we were successful in that effort, city took title back in 2003, I believe. At that time, we had discussions with the owner of this property and the husband of one of the 50% owners. And he was adamant that they wanted to preserve their right to develop this property for a home in the future. There was no activity until August of 2021, when the realtor for the Macon Grade, the Greenwood Way property owner, approached MOST and wanted to know whether we would be interested in raising money to buy this estate lot up on Gold Hill. And we had lengthy discussions about the the likelihood of raising money for it, since the public already thought they the fact that it wasn't adjacent to any neighbors, it wouldn't, it would be a difficult fundraising project. Most was involved with some open space fundraising efforts elsewhere. And ultimately, we were able to convince the longtime owner, who inherited the property from her mother, who owned it back into the 50s, I think, to consider a donation. An appraisal was done looking at the donation value of the property, and that 50% owner, Diane Bailey, thought it would be wonderful if she could donate it and get a tax write-off. And then it became a task to convince the other owner who wanted to sell it to also donate her 50% interest. And during the process, there was a preliminary title report done, a deed appraisal done by an appraiser that worked for us in the past. And ultimately, we had the consent from both owners that they would donate the land to Most for charitable tax write-off. And that Most would then transfer title to the city, all dependent upon the city indicating to Most that the city would take title, because Most is not in the business of owning open space land. We facilitate transfer to a public agency. And that's what led to the letter to Mayor Collins in September that began the process of the city review, which has actually been very thorough, involved all these departments, and brings us to the meeting before the Parks and Rec Commission tonight. And we certainly appreciate the time and would urge you to support the staff recommendation and recommend to the city council that the donation from Most be accepted. And we are kind of waiting to get that confirmation, although we have gone ahead. We have a signed donation agreement from both property owners. We've actually gone ahead and prepared the deeds from the property owners to Most and from Most to the city because of the favorable response we got. And I do have to say that most of the reaction I've gotten from my neighbors is, what's the big deal? This is a no-brainer. I mean, the land's being offered to the city at no cost. And as Ralph indicated, we've agreed to pick up all of the costs, the title report, the closing cost. We're actually paying the property owners $10 each as part of the deed transaction. And we've also agreed to pay their first installment due December 10th on the property tax, because they've already offered it and don't think they should pay it. But anyway, there's no cost to the city other than the staff time, which this is involved. But anyway, we appreciate your time and look forward to a favorable recommendation from you. Oh, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. We provide a lot of information to the city. And it is kind of weird because it's just up in the middle of nowhere, but it's a gorgeous site. It's a ridge top. The home site is actually exactly where this significant trail runs right through the middle of it. Once you get up there, it's heavily used by hikers, I guess, and bikers. And it's I can actually see it from my house, the ridge line where this home, if it were built there, would
Don, could you address the 1888 pipeline matter?
Oh, yeah. That was a correction. I think Catherine said 1988. It was actually 1888. And it occurred at the time of the original Dominican subdivision into large estate lots. And there were various springs located up on Gold Hill that were developed tunnels dug into the hill to provide water for the estates. And the spring lot, now owned by the city adjacent to it, was one of those water sources. And a neighbor indicated that they thought the water from that spring went to the Corbell estate up at One Highland, which would be all the gravity flow downhill from there. But it is not used. There are no potential users And it's just a rel of time.
Yeah, thank you for catching my misspeak. Yeah, it was 1888. The piece of paper with the pipeline easement on it was handwritten in cursive, and we couldn't even read it. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Don and Ralph, for that background information. Very interesting, and just great to hear about the vision that your group had for the hill. And at this point, I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to ask questions of our guests regarding this proposal. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Ralph?
No, that's
Ariel?
Machado.
Oh,
Oh, no, Ralph, I mean, I'm having a moment. Mark?
It just sounds like like you said, it sounds like a no-brainer to me. So that's my only comment. It sounds like it just belongs. So.
If you're curious about most Marin Open Space Trust, Google our name, Marin Open Space Trust, and you'll find out all the good projects that we're attempting, have completed, and are attempting here in Marin County.
And we are a small, totally volunteer organization. And we do get contributions. We actually are involved in some major fundraising efforts, like the acquisition of Ball Hill and San Anselmo right now, and some other large properties. So this is actually a very small project for us, but we're all doing it as volunteers.
Ariel, did you have a question?
I was going to say what Mark said. Thank you guys for preparing this. It's very interesting. And yes, seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, anyone else? I agree, no brainer. I think I'm surprised, like Catherine said, that it wasn't part of the city already. So, really heavily trafficked area for those that use it, lots of people and dogs. So I think the more trails and space up there, the better. That's very, a lot of the students use it and a lot of the neighbors. So it's really a great asset to the city of San Rafael. So I really appreciate, your vision in terms of acquiring that space so that people can enjoy it. It's a great amenity to our city. So I would like to call for a, wait, do we need to do a
Public
public
comment.
comment?
It looks like
Can I ask a question really quick, actually?
Sure.
Sorry. I think this is actually more for Catherine or Public Works, really. Like, how extensive was that evaluation process?
We did a GIS evaluation, and then staff went out and kind of walked the property, and based on their knowledge, felt that no further evaluation was necessary. I think if there had been some sort of concern about erosion, we would have commissioned a more thorough soils report, but because it's all wooded, and there's not any significant erosion existing, that they felt it was, that was sufficient.
Great. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So then, yeah, public comment, unless there's more.
Public comment from anyone?
I don't see any hands up, Chair.
All right, so can I get someone to make a motion regarding this item?
I would move to. Oh, Ralph, you want to say something?
I was gonna make the motion.
Yeah, I'll move to recommend accepting the donation.
Second.
Great, can we have a vote?
All right, Chair Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Machado,
Yep.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
All right, motion approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Well
you
done.
so much for the presentation and for all that you've done for the city. Much appreciated. Okay. I think now we have the installation of a prototype shade structure at the Marin Bocce Federation. I think we've talked about this before. No?
Yeah, that might, I think in the script, unfortunately, there might have been a typo in there, Chair Emerson. I think we
Ah, well, I'm
to-
following the script. That's the good
Yeah,
news.
I know, which is also great. but
Yeah.
we're up to
Well,
number-
I will go back. I'll go off script then, and we'll do number 5, which is the community gardens report.
And I want to just do a really quick introduction. I want to introduce Christina Faring, who just started with the city recently. She's our new program coordinator who is working at Falkirk Cultural Center, managing the programs there, as well as with our community gardens. And so I just want to welcome her. I think this is your first Park and Recreation Commission meeting in this role. And she's going to be sharing a presentation with us about the community gardens. And Christina, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see this. All right. Where did it go? Okay. So we're going to start with a little brief overview on both the gardens. So the first one is the Canal Community Garden, which was formerly operated by the Canal Alliance in 2013 to 2017. Then the city took it over in 2017. So this garden has 92 raised beds, including 48 half plots, 32 full plots, 12 ADA raised plots, a greenhouse, and a shed for storage and user lockers. So it has a ton of things. It is first come, first serve waitlist process with about 13 on the wait list. So this one's a lot less than the Terralinda Garden, as you guys will see. There are 4 garden work days a year, which gardeners are only required to attend 2 of them. We have a garden committee, and the plots are reserved for the calendar year. Existing gardeners may renew and keep their plot each year. So that's the Canal Garden. Moving on to Terralinda. This garden has been around since the late 1970s. There are 70 plots in total. 64 of them are 450 square feet, and 6 are 225 square feet, and 2 are ADA compliant. Again, this one is first come, first serve waitlist process with about 76 on the wait list. So you guys can see there's a lot more on that one. The rest is pretty much the same. So 4 garden work days a year, only required to attend 2 of them. We also have a garden committee, and the plots are reserved for a calendar year with the option to renew and keep their plot for the following year. So kind of what we wanted to bring up in this meeting today was we have some guideline language that we would like to change. Our goal with this is just clarifying and basically just make it a little clearer for our gardeners. So we're going to get started with that. The first one is that residents are permitted to have 1 garden plot per household at either the Canal Community Garden or the Terralinda Community Garden. Canal Community Garden plot holders who were allowed to have 2 plots at the Canal Community Garden prior to 2022 shall retain that privilege. So what we really are shooting for with this change is that we want equity between the 2 gardens. So we don't want people to be able to have a plot at one garden versus another, or have 2 plots in total is kind of what we're going for. So we really want both of these gardens to reflect equity. So that is kind of what we are going for that. The next one, you can find this one under the general guidelines number 5. If you're looking at the guidelines. The next one is, this is more of a new addition to the canal guidelines. This is something that has already existed in the Terralinda guidelines. So gardeners are expected to participate in a minimum of 2 garden work days per year. However, if gardeners are unable to participate in a work day, they have the option to pay a $20 workday fee instead. So like I said, this is something that already exists in the Terralinda guidelines, but this is new for the canal guidelines. So we are just wanting, both guidelines from Terralinda Garden and canal guidelines to have similar, wording, which is kind of what we're shooting for here. The next one, this is, we again are just wanting our gardeners to have open communication with us, and we want to support our gardeners. So in this first one that can be found under compliance number 6, it says gardeners who are absent for extended periods of time must develop plans to continue maintenance of their plot and will retain ultimate responsibility to ensure that the plot remains in compliance. So obviously we understand that our gardeners have things that may arise, such as, maybe unexpected absences if they have to go, be a caretaker for someone, or they have their own health issues. We understand we just need to be in communication with that gardener in order to kind of figure out a solution there. So that's that one. The next one is very similar, but this one is more specific to health issues or longer term problems. So we just ask that staff will contact the plot, or that we will contact the plot holder and engage in an interactive process to determine whether a reasonable accommodation can be made to find solutions to bring the plot into compliance. So again, working with our gardeners in order to solve some of the issues that could potentially arise. And finally, this is an addition. The garden committee may assist in reviewing matters of garden non-compliance. So we just want our committee to be able to play a role in all of this. So oftentimes the committee members are, maybe more out there at the garden more than I am. So they're able to bring things to my attention. And yeah, so we think this would be a really good addition to the guidelines as well. So that's kind of it on my end. Does anyone have any questions about any of this?
I might. Christina, thank you. I just just share a couple quick things before we get into the questions. Christina, I'm really excited to have you in this new role. And one of the things that we are really excited about is that we have the opportunity to review these guidelines. These are designed to help build the community. One of the things I wanted to share is that our goal here with these is to try to make sure we're really supporting the gardeners to build that community. And we've had about a year to live with these guidelines after they went through an extensive review back in 2021. So there's a lot of community outreach that took place last year to get the guidelines to the point that they're currently at. And we really view these guideline changes as fairly minor in the grand scheme of things. There's a couple things there that we wanted to make sure we really clarified in the existing guidelines. So Christina and Debbie, I know, had some meetings with the community gardeners, the committees, and had some conversations with gardeners about these changes. And so generally, I think the feedback we've received from the community has been positive, that these changes are fairly minor and are welcomed. I know we did receive some positive feedback from the community, in particular about the $20 fee as an option for people that can't out community gardens. So just want to share that context. And overall, I think it's been a pretty good year for the gardens. I know that they're very popular. There are some really committed gardeners who have done a great job of taking care of their plots. And from all the photos and things I've seen, there have been some really fun events and things that have happened there. I think they just did the annual onion planting recently. And so just wanted to say thanks to Christina for all your work getting started with this, and to Debbie for their ongoing work, as well as everyone that are on those garden committees for everything they've done to help support that program area.
Yeah, and I will add, so in the meetings I had with both committees, everyone was very much on board with everything. And in particular, the Canal Garden with that $20 workday fee, a lot of them were actually very excited about that. They thought it was a really good option for people to have, things happen and people might not be able to attend the workday, or, physically might not be able to participate. So they thought that was a really good addition, and, explained how that works very well at Terra Linda. So they seemed very receiving of that information.
Thank you. So I have a question, but I want to ask my fellow commissioners if they have questions first. Take it away, Commissioner Sandoval.
Thank you. I was curious if, the garden committee, if they have, it sounds like they don't deal with like non-compliance very often, but like, do they have or need objective criteria for like when those things happen and they have to make a decision?
If I might jump in on that. So Commissioner Sandoval, the guidelines do have some criteria that we look at that help us understand what are the guidelines that we're trying to follow and what are some of the things that would happen if someone were to be out of compliance. So in regard to the plots themselves, for example, if weeds are overgrown or if there's some personal conduct issues, those things are laid out in the guidelines. So I think we attached the draft guidelines or proposed guidelines for 2023 to the staff report. And there are some examples that you can see in there. Generally, that would be staff driven. That would be something that the staff would step in if there were compliance issues and issue a notice to that gardener to let them know that they're out of compliance. And then there's a process we'd go through to try to work with that gardener to bring that plot back into compliance or resolve the issue. The committee, we want them to be, I think as Christina mentioned, we want them to be actively engaged in the process and be aware of what's happening in the garden. So I think we're looking to them. They already have been supporting that process in the past. We've been working with them on a routine basis to do walkthroughs of the garden, to monitor the plots and check to see if there are compliance issues. But it just wasn't written into the guidelines in the past that was actually part of what they were doing. So we wanted to make sure that was captured in the guidelines and made clear to everyone.
And to kind of tag onto there, when we kind of spelled out a little clearer more the information about the communication that we would like with gardeners if they're going to be gone for extended periods of time, most of the commission kind of said, well, wasn't this already a rule or wasn't, and so we just feel that the way it's written now is a little clearer and more direct on you need to tell us, it's fine. We understand completely that things happen. You're not going to lose your plot if you, get sick or whatever that may be. But they did seem to really also like that piece of information that, that's great that, obviously I need to be aware of a long absence or whatever is happening.
Thank you both.
Ariel.
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you. Thanks for the background too, Craig. I was wondering why we were reviewing it again. And I continue to be impressed or surprised by how much discussion goes into community gardens. And so I thank you for your work on it and for staying out of the IJ like San Anselmo got stuck in. So thank you for working with your gardeners and staff to come up with something everyone likes and is happy, and seems like it's a really good working relationship. So thank you for your work on that.
Great. So my question for the city is, given the long wait list and the strong interest in community gardens, what are the efforts to expand? You've got 70 people on the wait list 3 or 4 years. In the canal, and that's a good thing, but it seems like that would be, I don't know if it's, I don't know where, if there is any current efforts, a way to expand community gardens in San Rafael.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And one of the things that we're doing is, through the master plan process that we're getting community feedback on, we're trying to take a look at the recommendations that are coming from that and how we might prioritize those efforts to evaluate whether expansion of the plots, maybe other changes to the garden where in the future we take a look at different plot sizes might help to open up opportunities for gardeners in the future. And I think that's undetermined at this point in time. I think we're going to continue to evaluate what might be best for the community. I do think that there are some questions about what would be equitable for the community moving forward to make sure that people have access to plots, and also how do we make sure we honor the gardeners who have been there for years that have long-standing plots there at the garden. So I think there's some conversations that we're going to continue to need to have around that topic, but I think that's an important conversation for the future.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. So I guess Do we have any more questions or discussion? Okay, any public comment, Becky?
I do not see any raised hands at this time. If you do wish to speak, please raise your hand at this time and we'll go ahead and hear your comments. Doesn't look like it.
All right, so I guess we'll have a vote. Oh, no, we need a motion. Motion for the,
Motion to accept the recommendations.
A second.
Chair Emerson,
yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Machado,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
All right, motion passed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Those recommendations seem really, really wonderful, and I'm excited about them. I'm sure the community members are too. Okay, so we're moving on to number 6, Terra Linda Community Center report.
All right, I'm going to do another introduction here of Tiffany Haley, who is our program coordinator down at Terra Linda Community Center. And I think we have 2 reports that are kind of back to back here. There's going to be the Terra Linda Community Center report as well as our aquatics program report that Tiffany's going to lead. So again, just wanted to say thank you, Tiffany, for being here. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and nice to see everyone again. So I'm just going to do some background and just a update of the Terra Linda Community Center. Terra Linda is in North San Rafael, and we are one of 3 community centers, and we are the smallest and the oldest community center out of the other 2. We have the youth programs that we currently have. We do babysitter trainings, and they get certified in babysitting, CPR, and first aid. We have our ceramics program for youth, which playtime is for 6 to 8-year-olds, mud masters 9 to 12, and hang out with play is for our teens, 13 to 17. Our ceramics instructor also does a summer clay camp for youth. We do a gingerbread house decorating in December. We have yoga with Erin for preschool age. And a new program that we have is Little Angels. And then our Taekwondo martial arts class. And she has been here for quite some time now. Some of the adult classes that we have are the fitness classes. We have Pilates in person and over Zoom. We have yoga and a stretch class and jazzercise. And a new program that we are going to have starting in spring will be Dance Away Stress. Our ceramics instructor also has a very large adult ceramics program. She has, let's see, 2, 4, 5 or 6 adult classes during the week and one on Saturday. And what else do we have? We have Toll Painting, which is a group that just comes in on Fridays and mostly does acrylic art. And then our in-house Terra Linda Senior program, and they join us once a week for bingo and bridge. Our bridge group prior or pre pandemic, they were here 5 days a week, but 6 times a week. And they have been back just a little over a year now and are still expanding, but they are here 3 days a week. Let's see, we have rentals. The community center gets rented out. What's been really nice lately is we're having a lot of youth birthday parties at our community center. So people within our, San Rafael community, especially now that it's getting colder, the weather's changing. They want a space, maybe not at their house, and they can just come over, have a birthday party here. We have 3 club rooms. They spend a couple hours, and we have our park and our basketball court that is adjacent to the community center, which is really nice for young families as well. We also have park rentals at Terra Linda Park and even our Santa Margarita, which is nearby. Another rental that we have is Montessori de Terra Linda. They're just a couple doors down from us. They rent our park during the school year for their PE program and recess time for the kids. And then some things that we're hoping to bring back in, or one event that we're hoping to bring back in 2023 is our summer kickoff. And there's usually a live band, food, and fun activities for everyone. And we also do a movie, or over the last few years, we have done movie in the park at Terra Linda. I think that's kind of just an update of our programs and rentals that we have going on at Terra Linda right now. Anyone have any questions?
Thank you. Glad to think things are getting back to normal.
Yes. Oh, and during the pandemic, we still had camps and classes. We just moved them outdoor onto our basketball courts or the grass area of the park.
And thank you, Tiffany. And Chairman, so if I could just add a couple other comments here. I think, in the staff report, there's a few things I wanted to call your attention to more specifically. One is that, I think the staff have been doing a really great job at Terra Linda Community Center of running a wide variety of programs with a facility that need some work. I think we've definitely identified through the master plan process that there are quite a few things that could be improved at that community center, and it has some infrastructure needs. And I think that we're seeing some of that displayed with just a lack of space. I think we would love to continue to look at what can we do to make sure that we're addressing those concerns. And one of the recommendations we may see from the master plan is that we need to do a more intentional plan specifically for Terra Linda Park, for the community center, and for that area, to try to address some of those concerns in a more intentional way. So I just want to make sure that we called attention to that. We have seen slightly reduced revenue, I think, from pre-pandemic levels. And I think that's in part due to some continuing challenges finding staff, as well as some of those ongoing concerns with the facility. I know there's some noise concerns with rentals and things like that have come up recently. And so I just want to make sure that I called attention to that in the big picture here. So, but thank you, Tiffany, for the overview of all the programs, and thank you to you and the staff down there for everything that you're doing for the community. I know I hear so often just how thankful everyone is for all the programming that does happen down there. We have a thriving ceramics program. We have a bridge program that's really kind of getting back into the swing of things post-pandemic, and a really wide variety of other programs that take place there.
Thanks, Craig. Any other questions or comments for Tiffany? I mean, I agree, you guys are doing a great job. It's a very sweet community center. And Ariel, do you wanted to ask some questions?
I had a question. Yeah, on the staff report, it has some fiscal impact numbers, and I just was hoping you could clarify. So it has revenue listed by contract classes, staff-led classes, and rentals, and then expenses are listed as personnel and non-personnel. So is the contract classes revenue net, like the teacher keeps some and this is what they pay the city? Or is that the total income and then we pay them out of one of these expense categories? I'm just sort of curious how it's sort of tracked. I mean, obviously we spend more than we take in, but that's normal.
Yeah,
I
the
suspect.
the contract classes are gross, so that's what we take in, and then we pay out the percentage to the contract instructor. And that expense is captured under non-personnel. We count it as a contract expense,
Mhm. Okay, and is that also the non-personnel? Is that also just expenses for the
the building.
site? Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
maintenance, utilities, supplies.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the personnel is all either classified permanent or part-time temp.
City of
Uh,
Centerville
Our
employees.
our contract instructors are not under personnel.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We double check. Do we need a motion on this or is it just a?
We don't, but we can invite public comment. It looks like
Oh,
we might
right.
have
Thank
someone
you.
and
Public comment.
Yeah, if you are watching this meeting through Zoom, please select the participants button and select raise hand if you wish to speak. If you're participating by telephone and wish to speak, please press *9. When it's your turn to speak, you will be notified by the host inviting you to participate. If you are participating by phone, you will press *6 to unmute yourself. And once you're unmuted, you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. And we do have a raised hand by phone. So I will go ahead and allow you in here and go ahead and push *6 to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, good. My name is Shirley Fisher. I'm a resident of Terra Linda. And I just want to reinforce one of the things in the report, staff report for the community center. I was really glad to see the paragraph that talked about how there is going to be future population growth in Terra Linda and how that will require park and rec investment to handle the needs of the increased population. And I'm hoping that this will be a big part of the master plan moving forward. Just to anchor a few numbers in your head, at Northgate Town Square, Northgate Mall, there are going to be 1,447 residences, which using their average will work out to about 3,600 new residents. And if you look at the entire area with the other projects coming in at Northgate Walk and other places, that's another 600 plus units that would bring in about another 1,500 people. So that's about 5,000 new people in the projected, if you look at the housing element, which is being just looked at this week. That amount of people coming in is going to be almost a third of the population of North Santa Fe. So I think this has got to be a major, major influence. One of the things also to keep in mind is that the developers of Northgate Mall project are not providing on-site recreation and open space sufficient for the project. They're going to be paying in lieu fees. So it will be very important that those in lieu fees be dedicated to the North Santa Fe area. And expansion of the Terra Linda Community Center may be an important part of that. And then that's all I have to say, and I'll look forward to seeing how this moves forward. And by the way, I'm also the onion plant procurer for the community Terra Linda Garden. Just want to let you know that we purchased and distributed 4,000 onion plants 2 weeks ago. So there are a lot of onions growing with happy gardeners in Terra Linda. Okay, thank you for your attention.
Thank you. So it sounds to me that we don't need to do any kind of vote on this. So we would just move on to the next agenda item. And thank you, staff, for your report and all your work. We appreciate it. So we move on to aquatics program report.
Yeah, Tiffany, I'm gonna just let you jump right into it here. No pun intended.
Okay.
You dive right into it.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so we are going to do a aquatic review for 2022. is our beautiful Terra Linda pool. Okay, there we go. So we offer lap and rec swim at Terra Linda. For 2022, we had 677 lap swim hours and 473 rec swim hours. And this was from the beginning of April, April 10th, I believe it was, to September 30th. And then our pool rentals, people are able to reserve picnic table sites at Terra Linda. You get 2 picnic tables underneath a shade structure. And we had 25 pool parties this year. We do offer end of the year school pool parties where schools can rent out the entire facility. We do mostly see 5th grade classes or 8th grade classes reserving the pool for their end of the year celebration. Our swim lesson program, we offer our group lessons, we offer levels 1 through 7. You do need to be a minimum age of 3 and it goes up to 12 years. And then our parent taught class is 6 months to 36 months. And this year we did swim lessons only Monday through Thursday. Unfortunately, we did not offer group swim lessons on the weekends. But we had 6 sessions between June 20th and August 4th, taking the 4th of July week off. And we had 196 participants in our group lessons this summer. Our private lessons allow a little bit more flexibility for families. We offer one-on-one private lessons and semi-private, which are 2 kids with 1 instructor. We do ask that both the kids be similar age and level, and they will need to come up. They will need to have, like a friend or cousin or sibling. We don't pair the 2 kids together for semi-private lessons. And for private lessons this year, we had 327 lessons taught. Our Camp TL, it's formerly known as Splash Camp. We did change the name during COVID because we weren't offering them a swim lesson during COVID, but it is for children entering 1st through 3rd grades. They do arts and crafts, there's games, activities, they go to the park, or the playground. We do offer them free sometime, just not a swim lesson at this time, and we do hope to bring that back in 2023. We had 6 sessions with 59 participants, so most weeks were full. Our junior guard camp is for youth that are 10 to 12 years of age. And what they're doing at camp, they are introduced to entries, water rescues, head and back injuries in and out of the pool. And they touch base on first aid, and they still do arts, crafts, and games in this camp. Junior Guard Basics, this is a new program that we started last year. Similar to Junior Guard Camp, but this is for youth that are 12 to 14. And it's more of a lifeguard class for the preteens, I guess, or preteen age. And our goal is that they do this program for 1 or 2 summers, and by the time they're 15, they have the knowledge and skills to become a lifeguard and can take lifeguard training and then come work at Terra Linda. So they're really focusing on prevention, so preventing injuries, responding to emergencies, doing more water rescue, so backboarding, extrication, They aren't getting certified, but they are touching base on CPR, first aid, learning leadership skills, and team building as well. Our lifeguard training this year, we had 7 sessions of lifeguard training with 75 participants, and out of those 75 participants, 41 of them were our staff at either the Terra Linda Pool or the Hamilton Pool. Staff training at both Terra Linda and Hamilton, we do daily trainings. We also have monthly in-services in the summer. We had a June 17th was a Friday. We did an all day where all staff attended training and orientation. And the total hours of training we had was 62 hours. And this is our Terra Linda participation numbers. Rec Swim is, brings in the most numbers for Terra Linda, but Lap Swim is not far behind. So we have some very avid lap swimmers here at Terra Linda. Orcas is the local Marin Swim League swim team that rents our pool. We have camps and groups that come. Our child care, City of San Rafael Child Care, they come to the pool. Mark Day has a basketball camp. They'll visit the pool 1 or 2 weeks. Santa Margarita Children's Center, they'll walk down and visit Mondays and Wednesdays over the summer. And St. Vincent's School for boys will also drop in during Rec Swim. And then our or the Hamilton Pool. So Hamilton is a facility that's owned by City of Novato. The City of San Rafael manages it. And for 2022, here are our lap and rec swim hours. So at Hamilton, we offer more rec swim hours than we do lap swim, where Terra Linda it's reversed. Hamilton is, you see a lot more families coming to visit Hamilton with the activity pool and the slide and the water features that is a lot more popular for the families with younger children. Our pool parties, again, they get 2 picnic tables under this under the shade structure on the grass. We did have 38 pool parties this year, and this also included the end of the year school pool parties. Our swim lessons, the same, like we offer the same levels and the same times and dates as Terra Linda, but our group lessons, we had 234 participants, and our private lessons were a little bit lower at Hamilton with 181 lessons taught. Hamilton, we were only open Memorial Day to Labor Day this year. Sorry, I think that's the duplicate slide. And our participant numbers for Hamilton, they have gone down over the last couple of years. But we had, almost 11,000 rec swim and just about 1,100 for a lap swim. And the groups that visit Hamilton, we have one City of San Rafael Child Care group that went to Hamilton, and then City of Novato, their camps will visit the Hamilton pool 1 day a week. Have any questions about Terra Linda and or Hamilton?
Thank you.
Of course. Do you want me to mention this is our last year?
Yeah, I was going to jump in here too, Tiffany. If you wanted to share that, I think there's a couple things in the staff report, again, we wanted to make sure we called attention to here. And one of those is that we've operated the Hamilton Pool under an agreement with the city of Novato for the past 12 years. And over the last couple of seasons, that has become challenging for us. I think going through the pandemic was part of that. But in the bigger picture, operating two pools, the staffing has been difficult for us to manage. And some of those challenges became more acute in the last couple of seasons. And last year, we had conversations with the city of Novato about what the future might hold. And we all agreed it would be best to enter into a one-year agreement. That agreement comes to an end on November 30th here in just a couple of days. Back in June, we met with the city of Novato, had some conversations about the future, and we did inform them that we were considering no longer working with them on this agreement. And we did make that decision. We finalized that just recently. So we want to make sure we shared that information with you that we would not be operating Hamilton Pool next year. I think one of the things that was important to us is to make sure that that facility stayed open, that the community still had access to a pool. And what we know right now is that the city of Novato just launched a new aquatics unit as part of their recreation division. I know they're hiring for that right now. We've been working really closely with the city of Novato's director and their team to help make sure that they had all the resources and information they needed to continue to operate that pool successfully moving forward. So we're excited that that amenity is going to continue to be able to serve the community up there in Novato. And we're also excited that we have the opportunity to focus some of our resources and energy more squarely on San Rafael residents in our community here at the Terra Linda Pool. That's something that we've talked quite a bit about, and we're excited about the opportunities that might present for us. Some of the reduced administrative and supervisory strain on the team that runs our aquatics program as well could also help us really take a look at Terra Linda Community Center programming and hopefully continue to really just expand what we're offering here for us. So sorry, Tiffany, if I stole your thunder on that, but I just kept talking right through it. So
That's okay. Do you want me to touch base on the pilot program that we're doing right now?
that'd be great if you could talk a little bit about that. Yeah.
Okay. So the numbers and the report for the Terra Linda Pool only went up until September 30th. But we have been, and correct me if I'm wrong with that, but we have been, or we had the opportunity to keep Terra Linda Pool open with limited lapsum hours. So we have been open October 1st through today. We will take next week off, and then we're going to be open for 3 weeks starting November 28th, going to mid December, and then we are going to be looking into January and February as well. So we did go to City Council and get approval of a pilot program. We did need to increase our fees a little bit. It's all drop-in, so our swimmers can't use their season passes. They either need to pay for each day they come, or they can buy a punch card, which would be 5 or 10 visits. And City Council approved, and this will, I believe, moving forward will be our fall and winter rates. And then our standard user fees will go back into effect on April 1st of 2023.
Sorry, I was going to say a couple of quick things about that, Tiffany. So we're evaluating that fee right now. I think we launched this as a pilot program intentionally because we wanted to better understand what the community demand would be for swimming during this season. We have heard pretty overwhelmingly over the years from a dedicated group of swimmers that they really wanted this program, that they were willing to pay more to swim during the fall and winter season, and that they were die hard, ready to be there, rain or shine. And so far, I think we have had a really committed group of swimmers that have been utilizing the pool. But we're assessing. Our plan is that we're going to do the best we can to offer programming here during seasons where we have available staffing and where it seems feasible and sustainable for us to run programs. At the end of this pilot program, we're going to really take a close look at how it worked. What was the community demand? How many swimmers took advantage of this program? And what was the fiscal impact of this program? And then hopefully bring some recommendations back to this group on whether this is a program that we foresee moving forward, that the city can support, that's fiscally sustainable, and that is a benefit to the community. So I would expect that sometime this spring or maybe early summer, we may be coming back to you with some additional information about how the program went. But I would say overall, we're really glad that we were able to get this program off the ground and get it started. And we have heard quite a few swimmers. They've emailed us, they've talked with us, and they've shared that they're really thankful that we've been able to offer this for the community. And this gives them another resource and a location to swim. So Tiffany, thanks for all your work and your team's work to help pull that off this season.
Thank you.
Thank you. It seems like things are getting busy again, and I am excited about the Hamilton because I've always wondered why the city of San Rafael was operating the Hamilton pool, as amazing as it is. But hopefully, he built the infrastructure for it to continue as an amazing program. And I guess, do we have any questions or comments about?
I think that you guys do a great job up there and running that pool, and with all the issues that you can have with the pool and the heater and all that stuff, and all the wetness that's up there. I think you do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ariel, you want to go ahead?
Yeah.
You're so
Are
polite.
you guys looking at, or have you received interest from, I know you have adult lap swimming taking place during the winter here. Is there a lot of youth interest? Is there any youth interest? Like, did the Orcas look into doing a fall program, or the local schools doing?
Yeah, we have, in addition to lap swim, we have a water gym, like a water aerobics. They decided to continue for about 7 more weeks. We started a beginner's masters program with one of our swim instructors. So she's mostly focusing on beginners and just what they need to be able to swim 25 yards. Those that want more technique work or just more confident so that they can go out and swim on their own. And we still have had a couple of people teaching private lessons on the weekends, our instructors. And then, Tara Linda Orcas have been using the pool Monday through Thursday. And we also have another rental, which is AC Swim Club. They're renting it Monday through Thursday in the mornings, and then Tuesday, Thursday in the evenings when Orcas. So Orcas and AC Swim Club are sharing the pool at that time. So with the additional programs and private rental groups that we're getting is also helping with our revenue.
Awesome. And on the financial side, is the chart correct in that we already have $140,000 in revenue for 2023, or are those years in the staff report?
Yeah, that is correct. Those
Okay.
are year-to-date revenue figures for fiscal year 2023. Which is our current fiscal.
What's the fiscal year? Sorry.
We're in fiscal year.
Start July 1?
It starts July 1.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and you can see, Ariel, FY 2019 was our last full year. Every other year has been
Right.
impacted by COVID. So if you just look at 2020, 2021, 2022, 1/4, it looks like, wow, we're doing really great. We're only a few months in and we've already exceeded. But if you look back to pre-pandemic,
Yeah, but that still looks really good. That's great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
So is there any public comment on this item?
All right, we still have an attendee, so if you are watching this meeting through Zoom, please select the raise hand button. If you wish to speak, once you are unmuted, you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. I do not see a raised hand.
Great. Well, thank you, Tiffany. I know it's a long day for those of us in public service. So we appreciate your dedication to this commission, giving your report. Okay, so next we have, the selection of chair, vice chair, and committee assignments. So just, I'll let Catherine frame. I think every year we get a new chair and vice chair, and we have a pickleweed advisory assignment. And I think the master plan that's already kind of in play. There's nothing we need to do there.
I'm actually going to let Craig put the
Craig.
staff report, so I'm going to turn it over to him to lead that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, so annually, this is a process to select the regular, the chairperson and vice chairperson. And so this election, it's by majority vote of the commission. Typically want to hold it at the end of the year, and the term would be, so establish the term here. Oh gosh, now I have to look at my notes. It's a 1-year term, correct, Catherine? It has been a long day. So the goal here is to make nominations and then select a chair, vice chair, and then we have a couple of committee assignments as well. So we need to select a representative to the Pickleweed Advisory Committee, and that would be a term of 1 year as well. Each of these would be not to exceed 2 consecutive terms. However, if there's a vacancy, there is the authority to extend those representatives' terms at the discretion. So.
Okay, I'd like, do you have more, Craig?
Nope, I think I'll turn it over to this group here unless Catherine has anything else that you think would be important to share here before we launched into any discussion about the topic.
I know, just as a reminder, obviously we know Chair Emerson is the current chair. Stacy Lauman was the vice chair, just for every, because often the vice chair kind of then becomes the chair, but since Stacy's no longer on the commission, I just wanted to share that. And I believe, Mark, you are the current Pickleweed Advisory Committee member as of 1 month ago.
So we don't have a vice chair is what you're saying. So
we do not currently have
okay,
a vice
so we
chair,
need,
so we'll need to select a chair, vice chair, and then I don't believe we have, Mark is our Pickleweed Advisory Committee rep. I don't, and then Ariel, you volunteered to stay on as alternate, is that correct? So we can for Pickleweed, that was done, I think, in September or October.
But
in August.
In August, right.
And I did go back to those notes, Catherine, and I do believe that was a temporary assignment, Mark, that ends in December of 2022.
I think we wanted to get back on the 1 year cycle where we do them all at once. So we determined we'd revisit that for a more permanent 1 year assignment now. And so that I just would remind you, there's 4 open, positions and 5 commissioners.
right. Thank you for that framing, Catherine. Is Commissioner Cabrales, do you know if she's interested in any of the open positions?
She did share with us that she's open in either chair or open to either chair or vice chair.
Great. Okay, so the floor is open. Let's start with the chair. Any motions for a new chair for next year?
Do you want to stay on as chair? I mean, it's typically one, right?
I could do vice is where I'm at right now. But
Okay.
yeah.
can I recommend that Ariel be the chair? She's been here she's the most senior person now that has not been chair. And if she would be willing to do that.
I will
I-
second.
Okay.
And you accept it? Do you accept the nomination?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you. Mark.
great.
Okay.
All right. Any other nominations for chair?
I think if you have a motion and a second, then you just need to do the roll call vote.
No, I just want to make sure that there's no other people that want to put their name in or any other motions. So, okay, so we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote.
All right, Chair Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes,
Commissioner Machado,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
Thank you. All right, so let's move on to the vice chair.
I would nominate Commissioner Sandoval to be the vice chair. Would you accept that? Commissioner Sandoval?
Yeah, I would accept. I know Commissioner Cabrales is great too, so if she wants to do it, I know she's not here, but yeah, I would accept.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
This is something that kind of might be going out of order in terms of Robert's rules, but would we want to extend the nomination for vice chair to when Commissioner Cabrales is present to see where she stands on that? Or what are people's thoughts on that issue?
My thoughts is that Commissioner Cabrales is going to have an opportunity to be chair next year, vice chair next year if she wants.
I'm sorry, my heater just kicked on. Oh, you're saying next year. Okay.
I mean, she's going to be around for a while.
All right. Any other comments? Any other nominations for vice chair? All right, let's go for a vote for the vice chair of the Park and Recreation Commission.
All right, Chair Emerson.
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Gutierrez,
Sorry to unmute quickly. Yes.
Commissioner Machado,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
All right, motion approved.
Okay, so now we have the Pickleweed Advisory Committee. In terms of the representative from this group to our Pickleweed Advisory Committee. Catherine, can you remind us like what the commitment is in terms of Pickleweed and how often they meet, just so we can evaluate our bandwidth for participating?
Yeah, it's a quarterly meeting. So I believe the next, Craig, do you know their schedule? I could look it up.
Yeah, I believe
No,
the
that's
next
okay. All right, oh, no, go ahead.
February.
Okay, quarterly. Mark, are you interested in continuing on the Pickleweed Advisory Committee on a quarterly basis?
Well, being that I didn't go to one meeting,
Okay.
I'm happy to do it. I know that this year is my last year here on this commission, so I'm happy to do it. 2 years ago, I thought it was the last year, so this will be my 12th year. So I will be done. Happy to do it.
If we need a motion, I will move to nominate Mark to continue in the Pickleweed Advisory Board Liaison.
I'll second.
All right,
Okay, Chair Emerson,
yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Machado,
Yep.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
All right, motion approved.
So we have left the alternate for the Pickleweed Advisory Group. Even though we know Mark's gonna prioritize his schedule to be at the group, given it's his last year, sorry.
They can't.
Help that one. But any interest in, from this group in being the alternate for the advisory group? I will do it. If someone wants to nominate me, I will alternate. I know the group well. Not a problem.
I
I would
nominate
like
Chair
to
Emerson.
nominate. I'll second.
All right. Chair Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Machado,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
All right. Good job. We got through that. Thank you. With the smaller commission, it's a little bit harder, I have to say. Like, it's like, okay, everybody's got a role to play here.
It's like we can't, there's no hiding here.
It's okay. I mean, it's good to it's good to participate. But do we still have an open seat though, is what I wanted to ask, or no, this is okay.
Nope. With Commissioner Cabrales, that's our full complement.
That's 5 of us.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the next agenda item, which is commission reports and comments. Other brief reports on meetings, conferences, and or seminars attended by the commission members.
Oh, there's actually one.
Oh shoot, I missed one.
We packed this agenda for
Oh,
you.
the schedule, sorry.
Should be a quick one, hopefully.
It's my bad. I think, my time has come as the chair in terms of today and this year.
So there is a staff report for this. This is an opportunity to review the commission meeting schedule for 2023.
Okay.
Typically, the commission meets the third Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. And so in the staff report, we've laid out those dates. We are recommending that we are dark for the months of August and for December 2023. But I just open it up to any discussion or comment on that schedule at this time.
I know sometimes in the past, we've had some meetings that conflicted with, school.
Yeah.
things
Have
like
you guys, have you crosswalked it with the city of San Rafael schedule for?
I just looked at it. It looks like it's all good. As far as I didn't actually look at next fall, but it looks good for through June.
I think it looks good. And I think I personally like the 6 o'clock time better than the 7 o'clock because that's just late. And I think one question I have for the group though is like getting back to a hybrid in person, which I think I'm ready for currently with the level
Yeah,
of
and I
Zoom
think
fatigue.
At this point, we're kind of waiting for having the ability to do that in the room, but we can. I know that that's something this commission. I mean, unless anyone's changed their mind and doesn't want to go back to hybrid, I feel like this commission has expressed an interest in going back, and so we are tracking that and kind of working with digital and looking at what the other boards and commissions are doing, but we can look into that for next year more seriously. I think we're getting to that point where we got to be back to the new normal. So
Let's just go back. Forget the hybrid. Just done.
unfortunately, we can't do that.
Damn it.
Now that folks have had the option of participating virtually for city council and planning commission that have offered that option, we do really see increased participation, and that the public really appreciates the opportunity that they don't have to come in person to say something.
Well,
So,
and I think for people with access issues, it makes sense, mobility, trying to get someplace, rides,
or families.
transportation. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, but I do think that sounds like we're gonna move to being able to have an in-person option, probably at the community center like yesteryear. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's what the goal has been, to make that the lounge room where we used to meet. And actually, now that we're a commission of 5, it will be a little more comfortable. We were a little bit jammed in there before. But the other option, if that is kind of still taking time, I know we have a lot of bandwidth issues and internet issues at the San Rafael Community Center, which may be delaying that. There are the second floor conference room at City Hall is set up for it.
That'd be fine too. I mean, I think City Hall would be fine. The parking might be better. Just saying. Okay. Anything more in terms of the schedule? Okay. All right, we don't need to vote, or do we just accept it?
I think it probably for this one would be good to have a motion to approve the calendar as proposed.
I move to approve the calendar as proposed.
I will second it.
All right, Commissioner Emerson, or I'm sorry, Chair Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Machado,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
Okay. So on to number 10, which is commission reports and comments. Does anyone have anything that they want to share regarding their community activities related to this commission? All right, radio silence. I will report that we are pushing everybody to get their bivalent booster and their fall flu shot. We will be still doing our clinic at Kerner on Saturday. This is our last Saturday, then we'll move to Thursday evenings, and Northgate Mall will close on December 16th. So those easy access vaccination options are changing. We're doing a lot of communications through the schools and through any channels that we can. Right now, we're seeing a rise in flu in a respiratory virus called RSV, which is a normal kind of circulating virus, but it's like quadrupled in terms of the levels this fall. And it's just viral stuff. And the RSV is not that big of a deal. There's no vaccine for it, but there is a concern around pediatric beds for ICUs, and that's statewide. So we definitely want to have everyone do their non-pharmaceutical interventions, hand washing, all that fun stuff. So go get your immunizations for flu and for this fall booster. We don't have a huge uptake, so we're really trying to increase uptake, and Pickleweed obviously has been a great partner for us, and we just will continue to push out communications through our channels. And that's my communicable disease report. Anything else? And Catherine, are we having the same? I want to make sure that, like, is the December, I mean, I know we're not meeting in December, so is the city doing the same? It's probably in the packet, and I apologize, but the same kind of events? How are those fall events looking in terms of, it looks like we don't.
We can move into the staff report if you.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
I'll let Craig start, and then can fill in anything else.
Perfect.
Yeah, so a couple upcoming events. Next city council meeting is November 21st. Then December 5th. Second Friday Art Walk is coming up December 9th. And then the board and commission reception, I think, is that what you were referring to, Chair Emerson?
You know, I'm thinking more about in yesteryear, the Thanksgiving parade and the snow, which maybe was, co-city sponsors, and then the lighted boat parade, just like, are those things, like, what's the status of those?
Yeah. And we had just talked right before this meeting and realized we didn't put some of those things on the scheduled upcoming events. So I was just pulling that information up and pull that up here.
I've got it handy, Craig, if that's. So there is the Parade of Lights in Winter Wonderland is happening on Saturday, November 26th from 1 to 5 p.m. with the parade at 5:30 p.m. The boat parade is happening as well on Saturday, December 17th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then there's a new, I believe this has been happening for a couple of years, but a menorah lighting and gelt drop on Sunday, December 18th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then we are also having the city's annual boards and commissions reception on December 14th at 5:30 p.m. And have you all received invitations to that yet? Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I got mine and I got my reminder to RSVP too. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the winter events are back.
Yeah, that's great. And then I guess we don't have any reports on master plan, right? Because Commissioner Corvallis isn't here. Maybe they haven't met since our last meeting.
Yeah, at this point, so originally our intention had been to have the recommendations presented at this commission meeting, which turns out it's a good thing we didn't, because it already was quite a lengthy meeting, but we needed more time to kind of to develop. It's a lot. We've got a lot that we're trying to organize and develop the prioritization for and make sure nothing's missing. So at this point, we've pushed the next steering committee meeting is I think in the second week of January, with the hope of bringing those recommendations to the Park and Rec Commission in our January meeting.
That sounds good. All right, so I think at this point, any more questions from the commissioners in terms of upcoming meetings and events of interest? Thanks for sharing about the holiday events. Okay. That said, any more, public comments? Or public? Someone out there?
We do have an attendee.
We do have one, yeah. So if you are participating by Zoom, go ahead and raise your hand at this time if you'd wish to speak. You'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. No hands, Chair.
Great. So we'll go ahead and close the meeting. Again, we won't meet again until January 19th. So happy holidays and Thanksgiving and Christmas to everyone. And I hope to see you at the city sponsored board and commission party. I am planning on going in person. So to see you.
Thank you.
there.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Good to see you all.
All right.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night. 7:43.
Bye.
Adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.